With over 400 celebrity interviews and tons of pop culture nerdiness, Too Opinionated is a safe haven for your inner geek. Find us at meistercon.com or on YouTube under MeisterCon Pod. And please subscribe. It would really help us out. Thanks, everybody. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Too Opinionated. Super excited today. I've got writer-director Barry J with me. So welcome, Barry.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So we have to talk about the way out. I was telling you right before our interview, I had Mike Manning, who's one of the stars from the movie that comes out February 10th. But before we do that, I think your backstory is very interesting. So talk a little bit about what got you into the entertainment business.
Well, I mean, growing up, I loved horror movies. I mean, I was a fanatic. The Famous Monsters of Filmland magazines, the whole kit and caboodle, posters all over the walls, and anything you can imagine that I can get.
Well, I mean, were you like Universal monster horror, or more like the 70s, 80s type?
No, so Universal 30s black and white were a particular favorite.
Yeah, mine too.
Dracula, where even though Wolfman's 41, they were the big ones for me.
Yeah.
I did love. I wasn't a gore fan. I wasn't a gratuitous gore fan. So I wasn't.
See, I'm the same way. I'm the same way. I like to be scared, but not necessarily grossed out.
Not gross. Yeah. I mean, Texas Chainsaw is a great film, but I just don't gravitate towards the gore, you know?
Yeah. Although I can handle that better now because there's something about that era of gore. It's not quite as bad when you watch it now.
Yes, it's they do it a lot more realistically now, and I just watched Maniac remake with Elijah Wood.
Yeah,
I can't say good things about it. That is a beautifully shot film, and he nails it. However,
he's such a good actor.
You got to have a strong stomach. I mean, this one goes over the top.
Yeah, I do not.
Okay, and we're watching this. Okay.
Yeah, that's usually how I end up watching. Yeah, through my hands, you
know. So that's when the love of horror started, and then something great happened. I was trying to learn some instrument, and I got kicked out of band in 10th grade. Literally kicked out by the teacher in front of the entire class.
Oh, that's awful.
It would be so frowned upon today what he did.
That's terrible.
But he made me play the solo. He said, "Somebody's messing up. Barry, would you play that?" I couldn't. And he said, "Well, it's not fair that you're holding up the rest of the class. I'll give you a passing grade, but go take a study hall in the empty music room next door." Well,
at least he gave you the passing grade, I guess.
Yes. And he actually did one of the greatest things ever. In that music room next door, I taught myself piano, and I taught myself how to write songs, and then I decided to move to California to write songs.
Amazing.
It just led me on this journey, and when I got to California, I met people who not only wrote songs, but also wanted to write screenplays. And I was like, oh, I mean, I love horror. That would be so cool to write a horror movie.
Yeah.
So that's how it kind of started. But I was an addict, just like in The Way Out, and I couldn't really piece a life together, let alone a songwriting career or a screenwriting career. I couldn't finish. It was so high, to be honest. So it sort of took a back seat until I got sober and got in shape. And then once I got in shape, I loved the vanity part of it, with people going, "Wow, you look good." I'm like, "I'm sorry, what'd you say?" So I got really in love with that, and also the process. I loved seeing myself change from a 110-pound drug addict to a really sober, fit person in shape.
Yeah, that's awesome. And
then I got a regular job, and I got fired from the regular job because I hated it. And when you hate something, people know it, and they fire you.
That's right.
And then I took a job at a fitness studio behind a desk, and I was told I could take all the classes I want. And so I did. It took like 20 a week. I freaking loved it. But in class, you didn't get big weights. And at the gym with the big weights, you didn't get the class excitement. So I saw something that was missing, and I brought them together for that place called Barry's that I founded in 1998. Where is this going? In those classes were a lot of people who work in the industry, including someone who became a good friend, Ben. And now that once Barry's had gotten up and running, we opened in 98. For sure, by 2015 or 14, I was already like just teaching in the morning and having the day to myself. So I started writing screenplays and started writing songs again now that I was sober and had a life. And
Yeah.
I started writing a lot of screenplays just to get good at it. I realized I was not. I realized I had to learn everything, format, structure, all of it. And I wrote about 21 scripts just to
Wow.
get, yeah, 18 garbage and three not bad. And the three that weren't bad, I gave to my friend Ben, and he said, they're not bad. He said, why don't we write something together? Because I've got this friend, Joe Dane, and he's starting this movie company called Terror Films.
Yeah.
He's got a slate. He wants to do three films, of all like a 250 budget or something like that. And so Ben and I wrote The Chosen. And Joe said, if you can scale it down, because I had a lot of locations and stuff to make this, budget friendly.
That's right.
Yeah, well, add it into the slate. And so Terror Films was also my very first job. They bought a script that I wrote with Ben. And also, Films hired me to write Patient Seven based on my performance on set every day, writing on the fly to fix scenes and stuff like that. And just having my act together in general. And they said, "You want to write the wraparound for Patient Seven?" And they gave me the 7 short films, and I set it in a mental institution, and the whole thing just worked, and they loved it. So I've come
That's
home.
terrific.
Yeah, so that's how it all got started. And then
I
of
mean,
course I
that's a unique journey, I think, from getting kicked out of music class, and then it led all the way to here. And in between there, you just happened to start a fitness company.
it's very Forrest Gump, feather in the wind. I've always said that about my. It's like, okay, what's next? Okay, what's next? And I just went with it. It's in hands bigger than my own, and all of this happened without my doing. Actually, I just sort of wanted to play an instrument, got kicked out, wanted to play the piano, so I taught myself. Wanted to go to California. I mean, the whole thing was just whims and wind direction. You
Yeah,
know,
that's amazing. Are you still active in the gyms?
I retired in 2018. By
Yeah.
2018, I had been teaching well over 20 years. And I knew I wanted to do more with movies, and I could. Because thank God in Rockwood, Barry's was up and running. We have 90 locations worldwide.
Yeah, it's
It did not
amazing.
need showing up at 5 in the morning to teach a class. It did when it first opened. So Joey, our CEO, he said, when we merged and everything got really big, he said, "What do you want to do?" And he knew I loved horror. He loves horror too. We
Yeah.
bonded. He said, "Don't you want to make horror movies?" I'm like, "I really do." I said, "I'm 55 years old. I'd like to do it while I can, and I'd like to retire, but I also don't want to be the guy bailing now that we've
Right.
merged." He said, "Don't worry about it." He said, "Don't worry about it all. Go do you. Go get it." And I was
Well,
like,
that seems like the best of both.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, on paper, I'm a part of it, but I'm fully retired from it.
Yeah, yeah. Very
I
nice. Yeah, very nice. So
don't.
talk a little bit about the way out.
Sure.
What's the movie about? What inspired you to write it?
Well, this movie was one that I felt was percolating in my soul, because it was based on childhood trauma that I
Okay.
had with my family. It took a lot of honesty to come forward with this particular movie because it was going to reveal a lot they didn't know, like nieces, and my nieces didn't know about the grandpa, so.
Right.
And I didn't want to spoil the memory, but my dad has passed, my mom has passed, my sister even has passed now. um but that's not why I did it. It was just, I feel like it made me aware of that time is not never ending, you know
Right. Yeah.
and and as long as they work on it, I didn't, most of all because no matter what happened in the past, we ended up much better through forgiveness, which is hopefully the message of the movie. With a mom and dad that I absolutely loved and was sorry to see them go, and I didn't want to hurt them while they were able to see the movie.
Yeah.
But not let it go because it happened to me and I grew up with it. It changed the way of my thinking for the rest of my life. It built my fears. It designed my drug and alcohol abuse, and
Yeah.
it was life altering. So I had to be ready in recovery as well. I had to be recovered enough to be able to go back to a house that was a replica of the house I grew up in and do the blocking of the childhood
Was it?
trauma.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Was that? I mean, to me, that you would risk causing yourself trauma just revisiting that. That had to be difficult.
It was. I don't know if anyone's recovered enough to go back to a replica and show where you were mistreated without
Yeah.
feeling sorry. But I was recovered enough to handle it. And I was also surrounded by people like Mike and Nick and Tish and Carl who said, "We are absolutely here if you need us. You're surrounded by love right now." And everyone was
That's
really
awesome.
going into it. So like this was going to be this one's going to shake me up a little bit. And it did.
What
I don't know what happened when I came out. I got an earring, a mohawk. I don't know. I can't even explain it.
what was it? Did it turn out to be kind of cathartic to
It
get
was.
that out and tell that story?
It was. I feel like sobriety has taught me to be rigorously honest, and I
Yeah.
feel like I've done a really good job with that, except for there's a handful of people in my life I've told, including therapists, but I've never just said, "Hey, world, look, this is what happened, and I survived, and I'm going to use it to be a positive message."
Yeah.
And but this means my nieces are going to know. It means my cousin now knows. You know, I had to deal with knowing that my family that still lives is going to see this or read about it or hear about it.
Yeah.
Um, and
Well,
I've
how
got to
did
be ready.
that go? How did they take that?
I let it be up to them. I'm like, my cousin Karen was the first to surface. She read a recent article and it talked about the abuse in the house. And she said, "You know, BJ, I knew it was bad. I could tell,
Yeah.
but I didn't know it was this bad. Um, Whatever happened to you, I just wanted you to know I'm really sorry." And I left it be up to her. I said, "Look, you loved your Uncle Bob, my dad. You know, I do
Yeah.
not poison your memories with him. Know that he was that way then. He changed. I love him. If you want to know, I'll tell you. If you don't want to know, don't watch the movie."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of the conversation I have to have because if they watch it, they'll know. They'll definitely know. And I don't want to spoil the memory. He changed as he grew up, as he got older. He had already grown up when he was doing
Did
it.
that change your relationship with him as he kind of grew?
Well, yeah. I mean, it damaged me so much. At one point, I removed myself from the entire family for 2 years. Changed my
Yeah.
phone, no contact. My therapist told me to do it. He said, "You are damaged and you will never get healed as long as they're even around." So for 2 years, I went without him. And then it wasn't ideal after that. I guess I was still carrying around a lot of resentment.
Sure.
Once I got sober and started writing songs again, and my dad just seemed like a happier person. When you see your dad as a grandfather,
Yeah.
you know, the way he's being such a great, loving, patient grandfather, I was like, I didn't get that. Where's that? When I needed that.
Yeah.
But it made me think to myself, we're all allowed to change.
That's
It's
right.
okay. He has the right to change. He's allowed to, no matter how bad the mistake, he's allowed to get right with God. He's allowed to turn his life around and be a different person. And he doesn't have to be reminded of the person he used to be anymore.
Yeah.
And so we had a friendship because of that.
That's
It was,
great. Yeah, that's great. And I know that was probably not easy
no,
establishing that, but that's pretty awesome that you were able to do that.
I have my sobriety to thank because not only did it give me clear clarity and clear thinking, it gave me people around who showed me that. Hold on, I'm sorry. It gave me the support and the other people sharing their experiences that you forgive someone just so I can be free.
Yeah, that's right. That's
I find
right.
who haven't said they're sorry, just so I can be free. Um, and it helped that I saw the cosmic change in him.
Yeah.
I was like, this, whatever that man was, it's not this man. And whatever it took for him to get from that to this, he's here. He's here. Now I can have a dad or not have a dad, and I wanted to have a dad.
See, I think that's so great and kind of inspiring, because most people I don't think would be able to establish that new relationship. I mean, good for you for being able to do that.
Thank you. Let me just turn this off real quick.
Yeah.
Echo. Sorry about that. It's trying to get pill, but I'll give it to him later. Your dog.
He knows what time it is.
Hiding somewhere. That pill. That's why he's 15.
So once you got this film written, then you had to go out and find somebody to produce it and some of the cast. So talk a little bit about that. What were you looking for as far as casting, and then finding a way to get it made?
Well, spiritually, I had to get ready for the question, where did the story come from? Is it personal?
Yeah.
And ready to show this to people. Because when it was sitting in my hands, done, it's still done with me. I still haven't actually handed the script to anybody.
Right.
So I started with a good friend, Carl Rumba. And I said, because he kind of knows my backstory. He knew when I got sober. So there was nothing too shocking in there for Carl. So he loved it. So then Carl sent it to Mike and Nick, and Nick Thur. So, and I just had to get right with it. I just had to be okay with it. They loved it. They did not like the original title, though, which I swear to God, the original title was Aroused, but I did not in any such way at all. It meant that you have aroused him. You've woken the beast.
Yeah. That makes sense to me, but I could see where maybe that would.
Yeah, Mike was
something they wanted to use. Yeah.
Or as the first AD said, why do I have to have a roused producer in my phone?
That's funny. Oh, that's funny. Well, your casting choices were terrific, because I thought, I was telling you about Mike, but the whole cast was so believable. I mean, it's a very emotional movie.
Yeah, it is, and I wanted it to be, and each and every actor brought 110%. So Carl sent it to agents, to Sherri's agents, and when he came back and said Sherri loves it, I was like, what? Say it again. I mean, I saw her in Precious, and it stayed with me that she could be so dramatic and strong.
Yeah.
But then also, of course, I love Angie Jordan, and I know comedy comes from tragedy, and I knew she could do it, and she did it so well.
Yeah.
She was so good as Veronica. And then Ashleigh Murray came from our casting director, and I'm so grateful for that. She is amazing to work with. She's a phenomenal actress, but she's friends with Jonny Beauchamp, and because of she gave him the script, and he went to the casting agent who's friends with her and said, "You've got to let me meet Barry today on Zoom, today." And the casting director was like, "He wants to meet you like now." I'm like, "I love it."
Yeah. Well, yeah, because you know that he was invested at that point.
Yes. And when we talked, he grew up in Rockland County. Nobody grows up in Rockland County. I grew up in Rockland County. We had all these weird things in common, including right down to we are the exact same 5, 6.5.
Hilarious.
He was the weight that I was at that age, and that's when I started working out. So the whole thing just felt like, this is him. He found us. He found us. This is him. Didn't audition him, didn't self-tape, nothing like that. I was just like, people are bringing, I mean, neither did Ashleigh. People are bringing you really, really talented people, I didn't need to, I knew by talking with her and seeing her work that she'd be just great as Gracie. So I got she was phenomenal, right?
Yeah, really good.
So that's how Gracie and Johnny came, and Sherri from Carl, and then Carl also handles Mitch Sopa.
Oh,
And we all know Mitch from Bridesmaids as Steve
yeah, yeah.
slash Stove. It's not Stove. So I felt very lucky to get him because he was oddly perfect for the role.
Yeah.
And it's one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie.
Yeah, that's terrific. That was a really good scene.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was so well done. We watched it here at the studio, and we've got enough room for about 20 people, but there was about 10 of us
Oh,
watching.
okay.
And you could tell how involved everybody was because it was so quiet in the room. There was no side chatter or anything going on. Everybody was just really focused in on it. And yeah, we talked about it at the end. Loved it.
I don't want to give anything away, but there were parts we did a couple of festivals, and one of them it was also very quiet, and then Alex did something that really saddened everyone, and I knew it because they went,
Yeah.
"Oh," and I was like, "Oh, that's good."
Yeah, that's good. That's a good
Yeah.
reaction. Were you
So
were you involved any with the action scenes or the fight scenes?
no, we had Mac Kerr, who is also known as Keanu Reeves' double and
Oh,
stuntman.
that's right. That's right. Yeah, yeah. Mike had told me that. That's right.
Yes.
Yeah,
So Mac,
not a bad person to have to help.
yeah. I mean, there were some things in the script, and I don't want to give things away, but the garage, that was the way it was in the script, but Mac took it off the page and showed them how to do it, you
Yeah.
know? So there was actually even more to it that was in the script, but when I saw it, I said, once something happens, I don't need the rest.
Yeah.
So yeah, Mac was great, but the rest of it was sort of on the fly. Like I knew, you know, when one of the attacks that she just knocks him out and then boom, and then so Mac just said, "Yeah, yeah, I'll figure it out."
Well, and I know Mike said he put on like 13 pounds of muscle
Pounds of
just
muscle and learned to box.
and learned to box.
Yeah, he went from not knowing how to box to being like really good at boxing.
Yeah. I mean, he was believable. It looked like he knew how to box.
He did. It
Yeah.
was it was actually very thrilling to watch him, even in a sense of fitness in the room, hitting the bag like that. Just
Yeah.
like wow, makes me want to stop, put this donut down, and start doing
I
push-ups.
know. I'm thinking it's a shame I can't act because maybe that would help me get into shape.
Uh-huh. I don't know. You have to be an actor because movies have gotten me out of shape. I was in shape before I started.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you when you're directing, I mean, any desire to put yourself in as a cameo?
Never, never, never. It's been asked on set, in production, pre-production. No, I do not like, no offense, I've told this to somebody else today, including right now, I do not like being on camera. It's just, I love behind the camera, love it
Yeah.
all day. But this in
Well,
front,
I get it. My son, when we started, we were doing this on camera together, and he figured out like immediately he hated being on camera. So now he does all the behind the scenes stuff.
that's great. That's great. I love it behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I get to actors, and you're not even being yourself, you're being someone else. And if you do your work really well, you're really believable as someone else. On camera, under lights, people watching. Like,
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah. Yeah. I've always said acting, a lot of people think it's not that hard. I think it's a really
Oh, it's really hard.
yeah.
It's really, really, really hard. To the point of like, I really love the actor process because right before we shoot the scene, don't go near him. Don't talk to him. They've got to get into the headspace,
Right.
Well,
yeah. Yeah, they got to be. They got to be able to kind of turn it on. So they need a minute.
Like Sherri, those were not fake tears.
Yeah.
Sherri sat on the steps in the house alone, where we shot the scene where she was crying, and she was just solemn and quiet. You could tell she was just inside herself. She knew she was going to have to bring it. No fake tears. She sat down in that chair and held the picture, and out they came. And I was just like, wow, wow.
Yeah.
God bless actors.
It didn't look. Yeah, it didn't look fake. It
No,
looked real.
No,
It was it was hard not to get teared up watching it.
oh, thank you. Look, after I led that life, I saw somebody that's getting moved by it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So it comes out on February 10th. I know it's pretty much going to be available everywhere. But are you excited about the release? Are you nervous about it? What are your thoughts now that you're getting close to
Closer possible, and I'm very grateful and nervous and excited, all in the same space.
Yeah.
I mean, I want it to be well received. I really do, for a lot of reasons, not just because it's my story, but because everyone worked so hard on it and they're so
Yeah.
good. I would hate for those performances to go unnoticed. And also, this is my life in a nutshell. I really dug deep for this one. So I'd like to think maybe you can open a door or two after all the hell I've been through,
Yeah. Well, I
So
hope so. Yeah.
yeah. And I think it has a positive message too. And that's important to me. The message of forgiveness and hope and faith, and turning your life around and the possibilities being endless and limitless, I hope are shown in the
Well,
film.
I think they are, because we talked a little bit about that. Just on the surface, you wouldn't expect that, but it does have a very hopeful message, and kind of it's kind of a redemption type of story. And I think that kind of catches you off guard. Like if you just read the description of the movie, you don't get all of that, but then you watch it and you're like, oh my gosh, it was much deeper than I was expecting.
Yeah. And I hope it also does really well for, not that they need, Mike is already doing so great, but
Yeah.
he's so good. I would love to see this just teleport him into the stratosphere,
Yeah.
Same with John.
He's underappreciated, if that's possible, because he's very busy, but really good.
He's very good, but yeah, I mean, he's amazing. And I have no doubt it's already happening and it'll keep happening for him. I just can't wait to see it happen for him, because when you see good people who do good things and work hard at their talent, it's so great to see them explode.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a really good attitude to have. There probably is, but I don't know that everybody that writes or directs something has that concern over how it affects the actors. But I think that's really commendable that you do. You're worried about them too. You want them to come out of it and be better off.
Absolutely. All of them were just so incredible, and they were so passionate and supportive, and they brought so much like love and depth to their roles.
Yeah.
I do admittedly have maybe a little added percentage for Mike because of Shane was just really fun to watch, and he was also like my brother through this whole thing. Mike pushed me to be a better writer and director. He pushed me through rewrites. He got me to get 19 pages of coverage notes. He made me do things I wouldn't have done on my own, and it's a script. It is because Mike pushed me. It wouldn't be the same script.
Yeah,
So,
that's amazing. So the movie is The Way Out, and it is out February the 10th.
yes.
Wait. Yeah, that's so exciting. Well, Barry, thank you so much for taking a little bit of time with me. This has been terrific. I was very excited to talk to you because I absolutely loved the movie. We had the best time watching it. And it was one of those that you get done watching it and then you got to sit around and talk about it. It's on your mind, so you got to talk it out.
Oh, I love that. That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping it'll open up hard conversations for people.
Yeah, I think it will. I think it will. So, couple of little things before we wrap up. Anything else outside of your life story that you're working on that we can keep an eye out for?
Right now, I've got a script I finished that is, I guess you can call it pre-production. It's Like Father, Like Son, and we're looking to shoot it this year, possibly in Utah, or Vegas.
Oh, very nice. I was in Utah for the first time at Sundance. We went to Sundance in 2020, and we got back from Sundance and everything shut down.
Oh wow, just in the nick of time.
But Utah's beautiful.
I always want to go. I hear it's absolutely beautiful.
It really was. Really was. Well, okay. So we have to keep an eye out for that. And then last thing, Are you on social media? And if you are, where can we find you?
I am on Instagram only. I'm not a great social media person. My handle is at Barry Scares.
Oh,
Barry.
I like that.
So I mean, I post stuff for movies when there is stuff for movies, but most of the time it's quotes of the day, stuff for survivors, motivational, inspiring quotes,
Well,
stuff for
that's
that.
kind of what Instagram's for.
That's what it's for me, for sure.
Yeah.
Mostly what I follow, except for people who I really actually know, and of course I'm here in Henderson. I'm not in LA anymore. It's really actually such a gift to scroll through and see like baby pictures and that vacation pictures and
That's
stuff.
right. That's what it's supposed to be for with social media. We screwed it up.
No, I know.
I was with I was
No.
working with Ticketmaster when they partnered with this new social media app called Facebook, just
Oh,
come out. And so they had all of us join it and learn, and like briefly, just for a minute, I was like, this is great. I can catch up with people I haven't seen in forever. I can see what they're doing. And it was terrific. And then almost immediately it got messed up.
for me, social media is to get dogs homes, to see
Oh,
friends, and to what was I gonna say? And to and to find old childhood friends.
yes. That's one of the best things about social media.
I reconnected with a lot of, once Facebook came on and all that, I was able to find people. And I was
Yeah.
like, wow, this is kind of cool.
Yeah, it's pretty great. Yeah, it's pretty great. Well, thank you so much, Barry. This has been terrific. You have to come back for the next project.
I would love that. Thank you. I would love that very much.
Yeah, you're
It's
so
great.
welcome. All right, so that was writer director Barry J, and his movie coming out on February 10th is The Way Out. It is really, really worth your time. So definitely check that out. I was so grateful to get an early screener that we got to watch. The cast is good, the writing's good. Um, it's emotional, so prepare, but it's really worth your time. So check that out, The Way Out. Also, if you're watching this interview with Barry, we had one of the stars of The Way Out, Mike Manning, who also produced it, on as well. So definitely check that interview out too. I think you'll enjoy both those. Mike is such a talented actor. Thank you guys so much for tuning in again this week. If this is your first time listening or watching and you're like, okay, these guys aren't too bad, I'd like to see more of them, or I'd like to support them, we could really use the support. We just passed our 4th year doing the podcast. We're up to 510 episodes. Normally we put out 3 or 4 episodes a week, so it adds up faster than you think. I can't believe we passed that 500th one. But if you want to support us, there's a couple ways to do it. You can go to YouTube, MeisterCon Pod, just hit subscribe. It's free, lets you see all the video content that we have, and it really will help us out. Just hit subscribe. If you're watching, you like our content, but you haven't subscribed yet, please do that. That really does help us out. If you're listening, wherever you listen to your podcast to, subscribe there. That'll help us. You can find all 510 and counting episodes, audio and video, on our website, meistercon.com. It's a terrific, if you're geeky, you'll love the website. So check that out, meistercon.com. It'll let you know if we're doing anything in studio, like watching The Way Out, if we're going on location, if we're covering a convention, whatever we have going on, that'll be on the website, meistercon.com. Thank you guys so much. Until next time, bye, everybody.